Hi, I'm Marijke Coulars and I'm going to make a video today for you. And of course for myself too. I'm really excited about this. Yeah, and I wanted to sort of start this video around the time that I actually left my own country, the Netherlands. And I was an artist there, but I was sort of not the kind of artist that I wanted to be. It was sort of all at the beginning stages. I was going to art school, but I wasn't really doing what I liked to do. And I needed desperately a change. So then I got this opportunity to be a teacher here. So I took that opportunity twice, and then I came to this country. And I think I started teaching a little bit, but then all of a sudden I felt like I should really devote myself more to art. And luckily I was in the position to do so because I got married at the time and I had a studio and all that. So I was given that time to paint, and it was great, and it moved really rapidly forward. But one day I was still stuck again. I wasn't really moving yet. So I found this place where they were showing videos of Pollock, and I had heard about Pollock, but never seen his work in motion. So I went to this place, and they had these beautiful videos, and this teacher was actually talking about his work, and it was actually also displayed at the same time. And I was just so intrigued with the way he was moving his art around. And I'll show you. This is only a small picture of what I thought Pollock did, so to speak. This is only a small piece, as I said, but there are so many other pieces that I made, and they got bigger and bigger, and I just felt for the first time I was free. He totally freed my soul, and I kept working and working, and it really, I was really becoming an artist that I wanted to be. I had all these beautiful things going on, and from here it became more figurative, but still I did the dripping, like, for instance, I think I was also very influenced by Jenkins and Pollock and Hoffman, and I was really here at the right moment. And from then on, my work was great. Hello again. I will tell you a little story before I left for Australia, because I'd been here in America for a couple of years, and I've done my work, and things were breaking down around me a little bit, so I decided it would be a nice opportunity to take off and go see friends or brothers in Australia. And one of my younger brothers had just moved there, and it's one of my favorite brothers, and I thought, why don't I go see him, and I can do some work over there and paint as well. So I did, but before I left, I have these paintings. I got into a really, from the dripping from Pollock, I got more into shapes. Suddenly I was just putting the paint within the lines instead of just letting it all flow like I did in those ones, in the previous ones. Can you see this one? The one we talked about before. So I can put that away, and then I can make you look at these. These were sort of predictions of what was going to happen to me. It hadn't happened yet. There you see a little child in there, which I did not even want to think about, because I never thought I would have children with my kind of life that I have. So, but then I sort of started to work before I left for Australia, and then you have all these people in there, and then suddenly there is this child and me, and probably some of my ex-boyfriends or whatever, but had never, had not been executed yet, because I did not have a child. So on my way, this is all work that before I left. But then I came to Australia and Sydney, and I started immediately working. I moved into a hotel, and they let me use whatever I wanted to paint, and it was a completely disaster. My whole hotel room turned into a studio, and people would clean around me. Those were the days, that they really respected artists. They could do whatever they want. In a hotel, pretty hotel, I painted on the floors, painted on the walls. They were okay with it. So once I was sort of getting into that feeling of, hey, I have some work here, I can go to a gallery. So actually my brother's girlfriend was very well known in Sydney. She was a real PR lady. She says, I know one of the best galleries here, and his name is Cleveland Fund, and it's the Hogarth Gallery in Paddington. We got to go. So we went over there, and I showed my work. He said, great. Paint me some women on a motorbike, he said to me, and then bring it back. So I thought, never painted a woman on a motorbike, but let me try, you know. And so that was the beginning of my relationship with him. And from then, I got into more galleries, but I kept sort of working around this kind of work. It was never really anything else but this. Figures and flowing figures. So it was very visual, actually. It's very, very visionary as well. It were all dreams, they were all things that were going to happen to me, but it had not happened yet. So that I did. And then I stayed there for a while. And then towards the end, Hogarth Gallery had a real big auction. They were sort of trying to find money. They needed money for the next, you know, president, I think. Yeah, it was a Labour Party, and I was very much into that. I'm not a political artist, but I was ready to donate my work. So we donated, my friends and I, we donated a lot of my paintings. And then I found out later that one of my paintings was next to the Blue Poles of Pollock. I mean, here's Pollock. They needed money. And that particular painting, of course, got them a lot of money, and finally the Labour Party won. But then it was sort of over for me that time again. So I said goodbye, and I went back to America. After I came back from Australia, I was a little confused. I had done a lot of work over there, and I feel that it was a really very important part of my life and also my work, because it was all art. I lived with artists in the street. I had poets to talk to, and the whole area, it was full of life. It was just full of artists, and I was right in the middle of it, and it was just so amazing. And I had more galleries to go to, and people wanted more work after I came back here, but then things started to change immediately when I came back. My life started to change. My life itself took on a different turn. So my work started to change. Your life changes, your work changes. So everything that was flowing before was gone. So then I came up with these things, and that was more constricted, because you can see how the lines are now changing. It's not that flowing. It's now really, I painted these paintings. It wasn't like I had all these, you know, dreams. This was more concrete. Here were people making love. This was me. And then I had, you know, it became more or less about me, you know. It became one person, or a man and a woman. And it was more concrete. And I definitely knew that something was going to change in my life, you know. And it did. First of all, I started to opened up a school, an art school in North Beach, and that was great. But I wasn't totally fulfilled until one day I found out that I was pregnant. And I have to tell you that, because after that, I was a little bit done with my work, because, you know, there was a big change in my life, and I was a single woman. So I had to really start working on which direction I want to go. So I gave up my artwork for a while. And that was actually that short time before I realized that life would be different forever. I wouldn't just be able to just go off and, you know, draw pictures all over the world, even though it started again 2 years after I had my daughter. But that time itself was a very, very hard time for me. Hello, I'm back again. I will continue my story, but the story is changing now, especially when it comes to my art. Like I said before, my life is taken a different direction, so I have to flow with that. The kid was here, the child was here, and it was time of thinking about how to, you know, move forward, like I said. So my surroundings were not that good, so I decided, spur of the moment, it's time for me. Oh no, that's not true. I took a whole year long a course with Richard Lichtenstein. It's not the big Lichtenstein, but it was a small Lichtenstein. And I learned how to print. and he taught me how to print, and that was a great year. So I thought maybe I can do this work somewhere else instead of here. So I took all my belongings and my baby with me to Spain. So I arrived in Ibiza and I did some printmaking there. And I think that was a good thing. And it changed my view of art, because I wasn't drawing pictures, I was just shooting actually on windows, and then from the windows you print. And I think I bought all the equipment over there, but then a year later I left. A couple of years later I left all the stuff behind, and I think I never returned to it. But when I was doing it, I really enjoyed it. So when I came back, Simone was only 2, so I had to do something else. So I actually started to paint on t-shirts, and it was around the 80s where everybody was sort of a little bit reaching out to other ways of making yourself actually, maybe a little bit more famous, or a little bit, I was tired of painting. Money. I was tired also of painting on canvases and dragging my work to galleries. And I was tired of shows, and I was tired of it. So I thought there has to be a better way and a quicker way to make money and stick around the house. So I started painting on t-shirts, and I immediately had a whole basket full of t-shirts. So I took my child and we went from store to store in San Francisco, and they all took it. They all took my t-shirts. I said, this is my new business. So that became my business for 3 years in the house. I had people work for me and cut all the fabrics, and they cut the shirts and all that. And I started a new business, and I still did art. And I still got up every morning at 7 to do my art, and sold it during the day, and got home and got new ideas, brought it back onto the pieces of fabric. And I did that for 5-6 years. And then suddenly I found myself in a whole lot of galleries on stores and big stores and Macy's and all these places with my work. And I thought, okay, if I can't paint on canvas, this is my outlet then on fabric. And I did that for quite some time. I was wholesaling until a friend of mine said, hey, I know a little shop where you can see the people you're selling to. And I thought, that's exactly what I need. I need to get in contact with the people who buy my stuff and see how they like it. So from one thing to the other, I was making shirts, I was making coats, I was painting on coats, and I was making shoes. I got in the San Francisco newspaper, and it was just like it was going, it was flowing. And then, of course, Ro, my best friend, came along, and she says, oh, Marijke, this is fantastic. And she brought people in, and this is how it went, and I had a ball. And that's the kind of art that I did for years then, until that ended too.